Hi everyone, welcome back to Dominic's Animated Movie Reviews. Tonight's review is of Disney Pixar's Coco. A lot of people have said this has been one of Pixar's better films in recent years, and yes, I would definitely agree there. And some people are saying how this has been great having Pixar make another original film since in the 2010s we've had, let's see, like six sequels, two of which are to the same movie, Cars, and then some of them are raved about, like Toy Story 3, but then the point isn't whether they're good or not. Pixar has always been about new worlds and exciting news stories, and that's why a lot of people are against these sequels. So we got something new with Coco, thankfully. Now, a lot of people say it's similar to Book of Life, and it's not. It has the same holiday, and it does have a character that wants to play music against their family's wishes, but this was in development a long time, just as long as the Book of Life was being developed, I believe. As well as, if you wanted to go on that route, all the Rankin Bass Christmas specials are ripoffs of each other because they all have Santa and then some type of a misfit, maybe, that doesn't fit into a society, blah, blah, blah. So, really, you can't really make too many comparisons there. It's just Day of the Dead isn't as recognized in America as holidays that the majority of the culture celebrates, like Christmas or Halloween, so people would be more willing to and more likely to find similarities between holidays that aren't celebrated here. But enough on that. Let's talk about the movie itself. So, the plot is about Miguel, a boy who wants to be a musician, but his family disapproves because of his great great grandfather abandoning his family to join a musical career. And now he is upset that his family doesn't quite appreciate him, but it might turn out that his hero, Ernesto de la Cruz, is his great great grandfather, great great grandfather, sorry. And then he goes to find De La Cruz's guitar, and then he winds up playing it and winds up into the land of the dead, and he needs to find a way to get home. But his family needs to give a blessing, and their conditions are no music ever again. So, with the help of a skeleton named Hector, who wants to return to his family by having a picture of one of the ofrenda, he winds up looking for De La Cruz so he can give him his blessing. Now, there are two ways to go about a family and child not understanding each other's story. One is the way where the child is in the right and that the parents need to learn to let go a little, or they're stuck in their ways and need to change, which is basically how the Book of Life was, that the parents were in the wrong largely, as opposed to the Wizard of Oz route of no place like home, don't dream of anything more than your family. This movie doesn't go in either of those cliches. It has a nice happy medium and shows that Miguel and his family both need to learn a lesson of what family really means and how to be supportive, how to be appreciative of each other. And Hector works as a character that teaches Miguel about the importance of family, and they start to grow closer while they still come across Miguel's dreams of performing. And yeah, it's really heartwarming. Every Pixar movie has so many heartwarming moments, and this one definitely gets into the heart-wrenching scene around the end. Yeah, I'm sure you've already seen it on Facebook, but I'm not going to get into it too much. I'm thinking of making a 5-year rule for movies, and at this time, we're not even close to there yet. And they really do play well with the concept of the world of the dead, and there's plenty of humor related to it, like Miguel finding the concept of dead to them being ridiculous when they're all dead, or a skeleton sneezing at Dante who doesn't have fur while he doesn't have a nose. So, humor like this often is a bit off in dead movies because what are the rules for the living dead, basically? But this film really plays with that pretty cleverly and leads to some good comedy there. And a lot of the rest of the movie, like many Pixar films, is about exploring the environment and bonding between characters, forming connections so that you'll believe their relationship by the end of the film. And this movie does that well. There's so many great scenes, like the performances, or that scene when Hector sings to his friend before his friend is forgotten entirely. And it's just so heartwarming throughout the whole movie. And its story isn't exactly slow, it moves quite briskly at times, but it knows when to take its time and establish connections and relationships between people. And as in many cases of Pixar films, a real antagonist might not show up until the last third of the movie, which means that it's largely about the journey and the growth instead of the villain, which is typical for Pixar movies. On to the characters. Miguel is a younger Pixar protagonist, considering they mostly do adults other than this movie and Good Dinosaur. But he still has that certain level of relatability that to all ages that every Pixar protagonist really has. And he makes mistakes and isn't a brat by any means, but at the same time, it is heartbreaking to see him turn his back on his family in the beginning. But at the same time, he's never at a line where you want him to lose or don't care about him anymore. It's just he needs to learn his lesson, and you want to see him succeed in that. And when he comes to more desperate situations, you do feel bad for him. So he is a well-developed character, and he learns his lesson, but it's not really one note like wrong, you are wrong the whole time you're watching him. So that makes it nice and refreshing and more realistic and not black and white. On to Hector. Hector is basically what Miguel would be if he went down the same road that he wants to go down, and then being forgotten by family. They might be more connected than you initially think, but I'm not going to go into that either. And seeing him go from a bit of a trickster to a really protective and caring figure, and them having a developing friendship, it's just so sweet and adorable. Similar to Hector and Miguel being somewhat counterparts of Living and Dead, you could say the same thing for Imelda, Miguel's great-great-grandmother, and Elena, Miguel's abuelita. Usually can speak Spanish better than that. Must be tired. Abuela. So, this is a good example of characters that mean well, but they might not go about things in the best way. Similar to other Disney parents that I've covered in previous reviews, but at the same time, they do mean well and they feel bad for driving him away, and they think they're doing what's best, particularly the case for Imelda, and seeing how she turned from who she was before the events of the movie to who she becomes during the events until the end is really sad to see. And there's no time where you actually dislike her, really. She's just has a different outlook and needs to learn just as much as Miguel does. Dante is another great character. He's a just silly, dumb character, and sure, every Pixar movie needs a cute character, but he fits a nice role later into the story in a very interesting way. And there's a couple characters I'm not going to get into because it's their spoilers, but one more important one is Mama Coco herself. While all we know is that she's pining for power in the beginning, we see some really tragic scenes of her not being able to remember Miguel's name or Elena, implying she could have, well, Alzheimer's or something. And she's slowly starting to forget everything, but she's still so loving, and it's clear how much everybody loves her. So she really does add so much heart to the movie, and the end with her that I can't talk to about because of spoilers. It's just so heartwarming, and you'll definitely cry unless you have no soul whatsoever. Now on to the animation. It's a Pixar movie. This is going to have extremely beautiful animation. The living world is a lot more realistic and has some of the more realistic looking humans of other Pixar films. There's not really many cartoonish elements other than Dante, maybe. But then we get into the vibrant and colorful Land of the Dead, where everything is beautiful and colorful. We see a pedal bridge, and those pedals are the same that take somebody from the land of the dead to living. And the alberjeres, spirit animals, are just so colorful and bright. This movie really gets the feel of the Day of the Dead and doesn't make the Land of the Dead dreary or scary at all. It just looks so beautiful and cheerful that you would want to go there. You'd want to believe that your loved ones are somewhere like there. So there is so much to say for the animation, and even the beginning when we see them from decorations for Day of the Dead, like the scenes of Miguel's great-great-grandfather leaving them and Imelda deciding to start a shoe business, with Miguel narrating the whole story there. It's just a nice way to get it done with something that's unique and showing that it's something that previously happened, and it also conveys the mystery of what's yet to come. So that's just very nicely handled there, and adds to some of Pixar's greatest animation yet. And I don't know what to say about this that hasn't already been said. The animation is beautiful. Now finally onto the songs. Pixar movies rarely have music in them, other than the occasional Randy Newman song playing in the Toy Story movies. It's very rare to see any music going on in a Pixar movie, and this is the first to have the characters really sing songs. And even though they do sing, I don't know if I would call it straight up musical, because other than Remember Me, the songs do move the plot forward in a way to like bring out connections and interactions between several, particularly Hector and Miguel for Un Poco Loco. But other than that, the songs are mainly done for performances, and they don't really themselves make an impact on the story, since these are all existing songs in this universe. They're performances. They aren't like the songs from, say, The Lion King, which are meant to convey characters' feelings. But at the same time, like I said before, they really bring out the connections of characters in a very nice, unique way. And while I don't know if I would call it a straight up musical, the songs for this movie are very pretty. So, Coco is a beautifully animated story with a great mature theme, with ideas of remembrance and loved ones, and what the importance of family. That doesn't make its story completely black or white, unlike other Disney movies might. And it has some great songs and good characters. So it definitely deserved its win for Best Animated Feature. And it is definitely one of Pixar's best in recent memory. I can't recommend it enough. If you haven't seen it yet, go see it as soon as you can. And I'd like to thank my friend Jack for requesting this review. And if you want to be like Jack, please leave an anime film you want me to review in the comment section below. And until then, I'll see you later.